Okay, today I am at LKQ, pick your part, and pick it apart. And I'm going to be getting the front end pieces for the Pri-Pri, Princess Pri-Pri. Very excited. I've got two that I need to stop at. This is stop number 1. Wish me luck. There's one Pri-Pri, but man, what is going on here? I mean, at what point is it just cheaper to buy a new car or replace it with something? Look at that. I love human ingenuity, but you know, if it's the best use of your time, have fun. Yeah, it doesn't look like this black one's gonna have what I need, but it's kind of interesting to see somebody pry this open and you can take a look inside. Just a control unit, a couple of big solenoids, I'm guessing. Yeah, there's a lot of engaging on and off between the hybrid motor and the gas engine, so that's neat. I mean, I'm fortunate I have a car that doesn't need much in the department of nicks and knacks, like the Miata sure did need a whole bunch of little pieces. Don't think it's here. Look at this cute little baby engine. I dug around a little bit and I found the radiator support, top bar, need that. I also found the hood latch, and then around it was the vertical support. The only trouble is there's no body panels on this, so hood and bumper might have to wait. I don't want green or blue, I want to have it black so it matches. And then most importantly, hardware. Dig around. They're pretty common sized nuts, you know, they end up in places like up here. So that's all to say, don't give up. Keep on looking. I've been here before. I've been here to this junkyard last summer. I was looking for Toyota parts. It was fun. It smells like shh though. See the weld? Weld right there. That's how you know that ain't right. At least we figured it out though. Okay, now I'm at LKQ Rialto. Here we go, row 30. Aluminum wrecked. Nothing useful. Let's go to row 33. It smells really nice here. They've got a food truck outside. It beats the smell of garbage. Okay. Well, let's get to work here, see what we can do to replace and probably repaint that other hood here on Pri-Pri. There it goes. The headlights, while their lenses are nice and clear, they broke a lot of the mounting tabs from the accident. So, you know, it's got some bungee cords holding it on, which is good and temporary, but only temporary. These are HID lights. Replacing them with new ones can be very expensive. Believe it or not, you know, even though they made 5 million Prius cars, there's still some expensive parts. I was at the junkyard today to try to source the headlights. You know, it's a little cheaper alternative, but the problem is sometimes they get sun faded. Very common thing. You've seen a million of these and 100 videos on restoring headlights. But before all that, I've got to swap over the headlights, and I'll be doing a little bit more work on the car, so we'll check right back in. This is getting very involved. I pulled apart the light. There's a couple of differences really with HIDs versus the halogens. This is cut out bigger. As you see here, there's the ballast supposed to cut out this channel, and then the larger circle here. It's not fun. I don't like that it's, you know, broke. I don't like that I have to transfer everything and deal with the glue and the heat gun. And I was just seeing how much work is involved to get this lens out. Pretty nice, and then there's the lens with the glue all around it, broken down there in the corner. And then this guy had 2 broken tabs out of 2 available tabs, so that's too bad, but that's getting swapped out too. And all these things together make one functional light. Now it's a big process to, you know, swap everything over so that I can get HIDs on a non-HID housing and save myself a couple $100. It feels like it's really late. Well, we're almost all buttoned up here. Bumper support is back on with the new foam. Well, not new, but it's not broken. You know, this one here has a nice split right down the middle. And the plastic cover is missing all the clips, of course, because as the body shop removed them, they didn't put them all back. Either they broke them or just threw them out. I still need to replace the bumper, and at least I can get it on, and I can get it on straight. The yellow electrical tape is just the color that I had. It was that or black, and I kind of like the yellow. It all gets covered up though. And then this fella here is going to sit like that. Now the new piece went on just okay. Everything was real smooth. You could see down there on the condenser where the old stuff was smushed into it. That was this portion of the latch, you know, so it kind of went back and to the right relative to the driver, but back into the left relative to us. So things were a little bit tight. Thankfully, this bracket is a nice anchor point. It is kind of a fixed point with the engine. Yeah, there's a little bit of, you know, vibration that it dampens. You know, all the holes lined up, that's the important thing. I did have to ream out the 2 holes on the right because something was a little funky there. This got all twisted up, and this bottom hole does not line up right now, which is okay because it's really close. And if I can put a bolt in it, I don't want to because I don't want to stress the plastic on the headlight assembly after all the work that I've put into it. And then also tomorrow I'm going to paint the hood, but for now I'll see just how well this hood's going to close. We've got 2 sealed headlights and the HIDs are in, and that's all that really matters, in addition to the major radiator support. Now the old one's sitting over there with all the smushed brackets. And fingers crossed that when I do the hood, I don't need to do the brackets or the hinges for that. Not sure what this number is here. It's not the VIN digits because that one doesn't match the car, and that's the original one. And it's probably somewhere like 1 or 2 in the morning, so I'm feeling pretty tired. Let's finish. Here's the hood. It's gray. It's like a dark silver color. Real faded clear coat. Bubbly paint. Gonna sand it down. Got 80 grit. We're gonna start with that. And first things first, gotta remove those nozzles and the emblem, which has me removing the underside insulation first so I can get access to the clips on these nozzles. First light coat of primer. Gonna put on a second coat in a minute, and then a medium to heavy coat after about 10 minutes, and then sand, and then primer a little bit more, make sure we get all those lows and highs out. Yeah, it ain't gonna be perfect, but you know, for a junkyard hood in a cheapo car, it's gonna be pretty good. The driver's side headlight here, I don't want to use the coating on it until I get this thing off, and I'm not really sure what it is, but it looks like some sort of chemical etched into the plastic. I would like to sand that nicely before applying something, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be there through the application of our headlight coating. The bumper's not quite affixed yet. I'm still working out a few kinks after the accident, but don't worry about that. We're just here for the headlights right now, so let's see what we can do. Another thing to add to my list of repairs on this car, let me turn down the brightness so you can see on the high beams, only got one side that's working. Also, the left side light is flickering very badly, and the passenger side is good. It's got a nice beam and a working high beam. But this side, passenger, she broke. Must have put the wrong bulb back in last night, because that ain't working either. I am, however, pretty happy with these side marker lights being put in place, but I really thought that it's beeping because my key is right here. I really thought that the side marker would have actually lit up those LEDs up here. Turns out they're just decorative, and that's dumb. The high beam mechanism, the reflector itself back there moves in, is on a little servo motor. Already finished one can on just like 2 or 3 coats. Time to go pick up another one. All right, I'm back at a LKQ. Let's see if I can find a better hood here and hopefully a bumper. Okay, that LKQ was a bust. It's actually a pretty dirty place. I'm in Anaheim right now. There's a lot of distance to drive.
3.1 miles, bear right to merge onto CA 22 East.
Thank you. There's a lot of distance between the LKQs, and they're all in different upkeep, let's say. I managed to do a couple of returns. I did a core return on the headlight and the hood. Funny how expensive the prices are, and then the cores are just like $2-3 for each item. Back home, the items weren't so bad, but the cores were a larger percentage of the total. And I am just loving getting 45.4 miles per gallon city highway combined. There are not many at the junkyards. In fact, next to the Prius was an S60, and then a Mitsubishi Eclipse that had the big spoiler. That was my first car, man. I really like those cars, but I realized that they're just kind of strange, Japanese, unreliable Mitsubishis. Now I'm just rambling. The search continues for a black hood for this car. Plans to visit San Diego might be fruitful because there are so many junkyards in close proximity to one another, and they have lots of Prius cars available. Right now I'm driving around California and it is covered in smoke from these wildfires. All that haze around us is just the smoke that's from these fires. Because we've had some pretty dry years. No, I'm not here to say I've got a green leaf badge, but I do feel better and a little lighter in the wallet having this car. Plus, it's got a little more space in it, and it's a good beater car. You know, the BMW, the black BMW was a good beater. The Volvo 240 is a good beater, but that car is also a little scary because of the notorious electrical problems that can occur on the Los Angeles freeways. That's not something you want to deal with. There's a reason there's not a bunch of old cars out here, and that's because if you break down, there is no shoulder. You want something that's pretty much tried and true to be reliable. And while the Volvos are, with the right upkeep, all the effort that I'd have to put into it does not really guarantee a good outcome or a best use of my time. So here we are. This is a good car to just get around in. Second generation Prius. They're everywhere. That one's a third gen, but they're everywhere. Finagled this out, that's the word I would choose, because boy, it's a little difficult to get these HID bulbs out. Any bulbs really in these modern cars are just very difficult. But thankfully I don't have to remove the wheel like Subarus. You know, some of the Outbacks from like 2006 and around that time required you to actually take the front tire off and access it from under the liner for the wheel well, and that's just way too much effort. Like, don't complicate a simple thing. But everyone's trying to get compact, and I get it. You want less space taken up underneath. So, long story longer, I got these DMEX bulbs from Amazon because I didn't want to pay $100 at O'Reilly and AutoZone. This is the bulb that was flickering, and if you look at inside this chamber where the gases are, it looks like it's real nasty in there. So, it still worked, but boy, this one was tired. And look at that, September 2016. It's really not that long ago, but maybe that's normal for these. This is an Ico brand. My DMEX bulbs are actually stamped with the DMEX logo, which made me feel a little bit better. They're not completely generic. They've got some numbers on them. 35 watt, 6,000 Kelvin. It's gonna be a nice bright white or almost a bluish light. I think the stock is 4,300 Kelvin, and that's a kind of a yellowish light. I don't know what these are at. Anywho, let's put this one side in, and then we will compare, just see what it looks like with one, and then I'll pull out the other side. Okay, she's warming up, really blue. Well, maybe it's just because I'm looking at a blue car. Yeah, of course, the other side didn't want to light up. Okay, one side looks good. Let's put it back together and then move on to our more difficult side, I'm told. I discovered the clip that is controlling the high beam shutter is actually the guy that goes in here. This is the one that has two connectors on it, and they're both pinned out. Trouble is, one of them is pink. That's probably the one that tells you which side to connect it to, because the other one has nothing. It's just terminated at the end. And it's this guy here. I'm getting an intermittent fault. This is the working side. I was narrowing down which connector of the 5 on this headlight housing is the one for the high beams. You know, we could easily rule out these top 2, but there's 3 down here, so we want to make sure we know which one, because there's 2 for the headlight, and then the third one here is this guy here. That's our adjuster for the height of the lights, and it seems to be all automatic, although you can go in there and manually adjust it. I did move the washer bottle out of the way. That gives me a little bit more room to work on this side. However, I need to get to over yonder. That's going to be a little trickier with the relay box in place. Yeah, let's find out why we have no high beams, and I'm pretty sure it's just the wiring. I'm going to use some silicone grease inside of that connector, but I'm also going to bend the pins in a little bit so that they ensure consistent contact. Yeah, looking inside the connector here, it appears that the seal is compromised. Around the edges, there's a lot of dirt and sand getting in, and corrosion, probably moisture, water, all that stuff. So, you know, in the words of the doctor, water always wins. So we'll get that back in, and a little bit of grease. I've made sure the pins are bent and should have our high beam pretty consistent on this side. Make sure it's wiggle proof. Yep, all right, sure enough, I pulled this out. This is the part that's attached to the black plastic housing, and then as soon as I wiggled this clip, that intermittent connectivity activated our shutter. This headlight still needs to get cleaned up. I'll do that later, but I wanted to make sure that I could fix my solenoid. I wasn't sure if the issue was the solenoid motor for the shutter or just the wiring, or maybe something else further up the circuit, perhaps from the car accident, if a wire got shorted out, but thankfully it didn't. So voila, we're gonna have very good brights. That side's buzzing right now. Can you hear it? But it's burning nice and bright. That's what we like. Started right up. So we can confirm that this bulb here, look at that. That white gas tube right there, it's burned out. It's not burned out, but it's starting to burn out, considering it wasn't lighting very consistently. Okay, I'll clean this up, put it all back together, confirm I have no more wiggles. As I was actually putting that side back together, the wiggling did trigger the shutter a few times, and then eventually it stopped, so I think it found a good spot where it was making full connectivity after a moment. It's the trouble with old wiring, even though it's not that old, but dirt gets in through the seal, and that's all it takes. Okay, I-beams are on, headlights are fixed. Look at that, nice. Could use a little bit of aiming. That's for another time. Now let's go save the planet. Thanks for watching. I decided to do a late night wash, clay bar, and wax. Right now I'm about halfway through clay barring. I'm having to go over these surfaces twice with the clay bar. The first time gets a lot of the old clear coat garbage out, and then the second one gets a lot of the water spots and calcified stuff out. You want that black underneath to really shine, and the clay bar unfortunately puts these like real thin scratches in there. Because of all the crap that it's pulling up, it's kind of making a little haze, but that's where the wax is gonna fill it in. So ideally you just want this to feel like glass. Yeah, it's gonna feel like that right after it's waxed, but right now it feels about as smooth as it can be. The quick detailer spray here by Meguiar's. Oh, she's nice and shiny now. Oh, very shine, very nice. Now, I've taken the emblem off of the old hood. It's in good shape. Oh, my hand looks so weird like this. I put some 3M tape on the backside. It's nice and sticky from being in the sun. There's one tab here and one right there on the bottom left. Even coverage is not as important as the fact that you don't see it. Now everything's warmed up. Let's try to apply this. I'm gonna trim that bottom piece. All right, ugly Prius is complete. This headlight, I sanded it because I wanted to get this little smudge out. That line that you see here, it still didn't come out, so I'm gonna have to hit it again. I did a 1000 and then a 2000 grit sandpaper, but that's cool. And I like that it's blue underneath. Always appreciated Lexus and Toyota for having kind of a blue reflector housing-ish. It's a little bit of bluish tint. Still not thrilled about the spray paint job, but that's cool. It's enough to get me going. And most importantly, let's just keep driving this thing, keep saving on our fuel costs, hypermiling, whatever that means. One of the last steps. 303 aerospace protectant. It's a UV protectant for all the black plastic. We don't want it to fade. We don't want it to crack. We certainly don't want it to become brittle and fall apart. You know what? I'm noticing now that the window scraper on the driver's side is gone. This one's falling apart, and I'm sure the back two weren't so great, but that might be something to replace in any given time. So just a little bit of this and wipe it off. I don't know what year this stopped, but the early cars did have an issue with the paint quality, and a lot of people complaining, especially in the front, where they would see rock chips early on after taking ownership of one of these cars. Yeah, I'm skipping the bumper, but let's just walk around and we'll see the car. Looks good. Feels like glass. I'm real happy with it. Yeah, 80-20, you know. Feel those little scuffy scratches from all the years, and then the bigger, looks like a key scratch almost from the door. It's gonna be a little more work to get those out, but okay. That was maybe 5 hours of work to do the clay and wax, and then re-wax it again in the late afternoon hours when I got some shade and the car cooled down once more, because it was real humid last night, real moist. 195/55R16. To be honest, they probably make it that way so you can put these in the dishwasher.